That was Venger, the force of evil. I am Dungeon Master.
Welcome back to another edition of TN Toys. This time we've got the Venger and Dungeon Master 2-pack. Now, I don't usually show off the boxes anymore, but one thing I did forget on the other three figures was that there is a picture on the side of each box that you can put into one big picture. And now I can't show the others because I've actually thrown away the boxes now. But yeah, I just thought I'd show that off for them. And that's a picture on the back there as we're showing it off. And what's quite cool, it does come with like a little diorama piece. The idea is you're meant to be able to place the figures all the way along, across in front of the Dungeons & Dragons ride in the Earth realm. Well, like I said, it's a 2-pack with 2 figures. It also comes with 2 dice, which I haven't opened up yet. Let's do that now. Come 2 dice. One big old dice there. I think it's a 20-sided one probably. And oh, I don't even know what that's called. No idea. Not into the game. But they are 2 big dice. So the figures. First up, Dungeon Master. Very limited articulation. Like arms, wrists, meant to be wrists, and the head. Again, meant to be the head. He's a small, teeny tiny figure. So there's not much they can do with him, but you know, giving him his head articulation. This is the limits of the articulation, unless you really want to force it round. But that, looking at there, you could be attempting to snap a peg, trying to move the head round a bit more where it doesn't want to. Now this is where, like, the front of the hair is kind of loose and rubbery. Why not do the same with the back? So you can actually have full articulation rotation with the head instead of, don't worry, Ranger, I can't really see where you're pointing because I can't look that way. It's a good thing he has to disappear and reappear because you can't move very well. The wrists, again, like with Bobby's neck, bit annoying because you can't really twist them. You're meant to be able to, but I feel like that I'm just bending the plastic by trying to rotate them. So that's how they're going to stand for now, unless they use the old hot water treatment. But there we are. That is Dungeon Master. There he is with Uni. You can see how big he is. Venger is by far the biggest figure in the wave. 3 more to go. Now, Venger. Now, a lot of people thought he was just going to be like skirt guy that just has a bit of top articulation. The wings come packaged separately, so you can pull them out if you want them off the figure. Because I don't think it always has the wings. I think they sort of come out. But what would have been nice is if they were a bit more articulated, so you could, I don't know, wrap them round. Like, he was the premium figure and a limited edition. You only meant to be able to get him through Hasbro Pulse, but I got mine through another retailer, and you can see there. As my speculation, I saw the skirt cut on Hasbro Pulse. I sort of did the first mini announcement video that I did. And yeah, so he does have leg articulation. So he is designed to go on Nightmare the Horse. But that, see, this is the problem when they do this. They give you this great idea. Let's give him leg articulation instead of just a box skirt body with, like, you know, bending down, much like the original Shadow Weaver figure from Mattel Classics. And yeah, this just is in the way. It's just completely in the way. They could have done this. Should have been fabric, without question of a doubt. And you can see there, like the legs. I quite like the boots on him there as well. But why didn't they just allow you to be able to remove this skirt piece just easily, instead of having to try and pull apart the figure and break it, or just give him a fabric cape? The thing cost enough money for this ugly, now I will say it is an ugly plastic cape. It just doesn't look very good, and you can see he's on tippy toes. I have tried to simply move this articulation here, and to be fair, even if you've got like the ability to kneel and stuff like that, you can't really do much with Venger because he's hindered by this giant skirt. I know that's all part of the design of the character in the show, but when doing a toy, you need to think a bit more outside the box, Hasbro. This should, and I'll say it again, should have been a fabric cape and or skirt, or removable. It just seems like a pointless bit to put the legs in there, go through all that process. Like, it'd have been a lot cheaper if he was Mr. just Pyramid Man with articulation on top, without the ability of having the horse. Because I can't see the horse happening, to be fair. And yeah, this is just ridiculously stiff articulation. See, like, that's just moved. I don't want to bend it anymore. You know, this thing was an exclusive, essentially limited to X amount per person and stuff. It just seems like a bit of a waste to give him the legs if he's not going to use them. I think he didn't float on this skirt like that. I am very tempted to brave it, do the old hot water treatment, pop off that top, remove the skirt, and give him a fabric one, make a fabric one myself. Have a sewing machine. Very tempted to do that, to make a superior Venger figure. Like for the price, yeah. Do you know what? Ultimately, I did say I have enjoyed owning the Dungeons and Dragons characters in plastic form after 40 years. But yeah, a bit of a disappointment. I still think like Diana here is by far the best figure. The way she's come out, she's great. That she's not too stiff. She doesn't have weird teeth. She can turn her head, and she can move her legs and her wrists. Like, you shouldn't have to boil your figures. I'm not saying don't use boiling water. That's just me being facetious and joking. But you shouldn't have to do that out the box where they're these super stiff things. Now, do you prefer stiff or floppy? That should be a poll I'm going to put out now. In regards to figures that are too floppy, you can kind of fix it using some solutions and make them a bit stiffer. But when they're so stiff, it is, for me, I don't have to keep putting these things underwater. You should be able to just move them without having to do too much pushing and straining and will or won't you break it. So yeah, it's yeah, happy to have them on display, but as action figure toys, they've not really blown me away. As a set, I just realised Diane's holding Bobby's thing. And one thing I did miss on Hank's part of the video was that you can't really do the archer pose. That's when, although I don't like double jointed knees and whatnot, he did need double jointed elbows to be able to do the archer pose. That's by the by, that's how he's come. And I guess that begs the question, will I get the Magician, the Cavalier and the Thief? To finish off the set, yes. Will I get any other character from this show? I'm going to say no. Probably not going to get it. At a stretch, twist of the arm, maybe Venger's sidekick to give him somebody to boss around. But other than that, no. I'm not interested in any other periphery characters from this set. I think ultimately been disappointed with how they've turned out. You can see their blemish there on Venger's shoulder. Get him out of the way. Just there. And again, the same kind of issues with Hank. You know, this bit getting in the way. Too much not flexible enough plastic. Yeah. I am tempted to do the operation on Venger there to get that skirt off and just give him one of my own. Not my own skirts, just to make a skirt for myself, for him, not for myself. Well, as I've dug myself into a hole there, let's do some comparisons. So we got Shredder from Super 7, Mum-Ra as well from Super 7. Well, this isn't too much of a size discrepancy between Mum-Ra and Venger. Venger's quite big in the show, but then again, he is opposite his short father and 6 children, so he might look bigger than he actually is. And then Skeletor. I often forget to pull this guy out. Hordak. And from Defenders of the Earth, Ming the Merciless. So there we have range of your more swords and sorcery villains from the 1980s. Now, I did pre-order the G.I. Joe for Cobra Commander Super 7 stuff, and do you know what? I'm throwing in the towel for the G.I. Joe stuff. I just don't want it now. I'm saying no to the Super 7 G.I. Joe. I'm not all that invested in the G.I. Joe stuff. I loved it as a kid. I just don't think I want new bits on the shelf G.I. Joe for me. I've got these sword and sorcery guys. They seem to fit quite nicely. Whereas the G.I. Joes, more guns and stuff like that. I don't mind that, but I just don't think it works. Although, Cobra Commander, is he missed there? Shall I cancel my cancel? Well, what do you guys think of the 1980s baddie shelf? Well, that's the comparisons out the way. What else did Dungeon Master and Venger come with? Venger came with some swap out hands for some extra blast effects. Now, you can see these pegs look very, very thin and quite brittle looking. Now, they look like they could snap quite easily. So, for the sake of not wanting to break this exclusive figure, I'm going to chicken out and not put in the pegs. Yeah, ultimately, yeah, the Dungeons & Dragons toy line, I was all happy for this. I was excited. Always wanted these characters in plastic form. And all except for Diana have been, I don't know, a bit of a disappointment, if I'm honest. And yeah, a shame. Although I do think the render didn't give Venger here justice. I think the head sculpt came out quite nicely, although I would prefer the eyes looking forward and maybe an open mouth so he looks less like buck-toothed there. But never mind, that's just one of those things. What do you guys and girls think? Are you happy with the way the Dungeons & Dragons toys have turned out that you've received? Or are you put off by what I've shown you? Well, don't forget to love, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys and girls in the next video.